Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 42. Future War. Part 1. Main Scenario Number 3, Emergency Defense has ended. You have obtained 1,000 coins as compensation. The main scenario, which was supposed to begin only after the sun had risen, actually started less than 10 minutes after the third main scenario was over. The fourth main scenario is about to begin. Damn, how long had it been since the third scenario ended? I went straight to Lee Jai-hai. You take Yu Jong-hyuk. Can I do that? You can't go downstairs now anyway. It will be a problem for when he wakes up. Lee Jai-hai nodded as she looked at Yu Jong-hyuk. Please inform me when he wakes up. I want to give him another hit in the back. I headed downstairs with Young Hee-won. I carried Lee Gil-young, who had completely fallen asleep after the meteor shower. The dungeon disappeared and it turned into an ordinary theater. The items in the rewards room on the 5th floor were turned into ordinary stage props. It was as if everything that happened yesterday was a dream. Then Bai-hyung's voice was heard. Do you know what I am going to say? Yes. Sigh. I nearly fell down. I felt a little relieved as I listened to Bai-hyung's grumbles. The constellations were powerful, but they weren't omniscient. It was because all the sounds and images of the scenario were transmitted through the channel. What did this mean? Was it filtered properly? I was too excited that I said too much. Of course it was. Is there something wrong with my channel? That level of information is automatically filtered. If my thoughts were correct, the words I said to Yu Jong-hyuk would be conveyed to the constellations in the following way. Do you really think so? You have already forgotten the determination of your attempt. Why are you alone? When you like a fool in the, when you cried over your, when your loved one gave to a, helping people and fighting against the dam. When you finally before the. In fact, I didn't know how much filtering there was. It might be more than this, but it wouldn't be weak. In the original work, Yu Jong-hyuk experienced information being blocked this way at the beginning, even when information about regressors was spreading. The constellations didn't hear anything. Don't worry. The problem is that even I didn't hear much. You didn't hear it? This was a bit odd. The Dakibi also couldn't hear the information? Yes, that's right. What were you talking about? Information that even the Dakibi didn't know. I had one guess. Perhaps, the constraints of probability had begun? I naturally came up with something from ways of survival. Probability is a great deterrent that controls the star stream. I was reminded of it, but it didn't help me straight away. One of the reasons why Ways of Survival was ruined was that there were too many settings the writer didn't know well. What is the reaction among the constellations? They are fed up. There is still an uproar about what you were talking about. I guess so. The constellations experienced a filter and the movie suddenly changed into a silent movie. If they were smart, they should start paying attention to the possibilities I had. The fact that my words were filtered meant I knew information that shouldn't be revealed at the present time. A few constellations are watching you to explore your secrets. The constellation Secretive Plotter is excited by your existence. 2,000 coins have been sponsored. I thought Bai-hyung had forgotten. I received so many indirect messages that I didn't send them to you. Do you understand? Do so in the future. I only want messages about coins. Am I your manager? The figure of Bai-hyung disappeared. I thought he was becoming cuter over time. One thing was finished and the other. Doc Jess Asai, is it hard? I'll carry Gil-young. Ah, it would be appreciated. I handed Lee Gil-young to Young Hee-won. Her face looked somewhat serious. I hesitated for a moment before opening my mouth. Hee-won SSI. Huh? What are you worried about? No, just, Young Hee-won hesitated for a moment before sighing. Okay. It isn't in my nature to keep it in. Indeed. Young Hee-won got directly to the point. What is Dr. SSI's identity? Did you hear something earlier? A little bit. I thought she wouldn't hear it because we were quite far away. Unfortunately, she heard something. Young Hee-won was closer than Lee Jae-hai, and no human-to-human filtering is possible. Lee Gil-young let out a loud snoring noise. I decided to be half honest. I know part of the future. Really? Yes. Young Hee-won thought about something for a while. She seemed to be wondering if my words were true or not. Then Young Hee-won seemed to have decided as she bit her lips. Do you Sangha and Lee Hyun-sung know? They don't know yet. I answered in earnest, and Young Hee-won stepped away from me with Lee Gil-young. Surely you aren't going to kill me. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Normally, a development like you know too much about me will occur. Where did this normal development come from? Somehow I seem to be a bad person. I don't know what the normal development is, but I would have already killed Hee-won SSI if I wanted to. Actually, that is a bit weird. I don't have bad thoughts. It is actually the opposite. The opposite? I looked into Young Hee-won's eyes and said, the future scenarios will be more dangerous. You might almost die many times and might lose precious things. So? I looked into Young Hee-won's increasingly nervous eyes and said, please stay with me from now on. What do you mean? It means to be my companion. It was time to make my people. Trustworthy people who wouldn't easily betray me. Young Hee-won, who I helped awaken and could read her mind, was the most suitable talent. Young Hee-won looked blank for a moment. Dr. SSI didn't consider me a companion before? It is actually the opposite. I'm not the one who doesn't think of you as a companion. Young Hee-won's eyes shook. I deliberately took a step back. If you don't want to be companions, think of it as a deal. I need Hee-won's strength, and my information will be helpful to Hee-won SSI. It is give and take. The important thing is that our relationship won't change in the future. It is a bit abrupt. Do I have to answer now? No. For a person like Young Hee-won, a leisurely approach was better than a hasty and emotional one. In fact, Young Hee-won's expression wasn't bad. The character Young Hee-won is relieved at your honesty. The character Young Hee-won is seriously thinking about your proposal. Maybe it wouldn't be long. I had a big influence on Young Hee-won's awakening event, and my presence would be deeply stamped in her subconscious. Perhaps when this scenario was over, the second sponsor selection would begin. Then Young Hee-won would gain a sponsor. The real power of Young Hee-won would be shown from then on. Then can I ask you something? Yes. Do you know what I am doing in the future? I looked up. Wouldn't this be filtered? I also don't know. Huh? There is no Young Hee-won in the future that I know. What? That's why this deal is really necessary for Hee-won SSI. Young Hee-won's eyes widened. Young Hee-won wasn't in the original book. She was a variable that I raised directly. Her attribute was good enough, and if she got a proper sponsor, she would play a key role in changing future scenarios. Especially if I fought against people with other variables that I didn't know. Then a loud noise was heard from downstairs. Think about it. Let's hurry. We descended to the platform where many people were putting pressure on a small group. I understood the situation. The Landlord Alliance. They were still like this. Where did that bastard Kim Dok-ja go? Tell me quickly. Looking closer, I saw that the Landlord Alliance were harassing Lee Hyun-sung. I deliberately walked towards them and spoke in a loud voice. You Sangha SSI, Lee Hyun-sung SSI. You. An alliance member cried out as soon as I came down to the platform of line 4. I saw a familiar landlord uncle. The evidence of the fierce battle remained on the bastard's body. At first glance, I could tell that his overall stats had risen sharply. I liked it. Gong Pildu. Gong Pildu used armed zone and 8 turrets rose. The alliance members centered around Gong Pildu looked at me. They didn't know the person who saved them. This jerk. The moment Gong Pildu was about to say something, there was an electric current in the air. The fourth main scenario will start in 5 minutes. Along with the system message, Dakibi Baihyung appeared. Ha ha ha, everyone. Have you been well? People's expressions stiffened at this nasty guy's face. It looks like you are all restless. What is it now? Of course I came because of the announcement for the fourth scenario. This is shit. Now, don't act like that. Don't you know I go after the first person who complains? The fourth main scenario has to do with the other stations. A fairly exciting story is waiting for you. I'm sure you will be satisfied. Everyone's complexions darkened as they heard about other stations. Chunmuro alone was this bad. It was obvious how much trouble there would be if other stations were involved. Baihyung laughed. By the way, in order to proceed with this scenario, you have to perform another task first. Won't it be a mess if the number of people increases? Therefore, you need a presence to lead you. In other words, there must be a station representative. It was finally starting. From now on, we will play a skirmish. It could be called a warm-up game. The rules of the game, well, you will see. Baihyung smiled and disappeared, while a message window popped up in front of everyone. The sub-scenario has arrived. Plus. Sub-scenario, elect a representative, category, sub. Difficulty, C. Clear conditions, take the white flag installed in the center of the platform. Time limit, 30 minutes. Compensation, 1,000 coins, Chungmuro's representative. Failure. Asterisk the representative of the station can exercise strong control over the members. Plus. Before the message window fully popped up, Gong Pildu was already running to the flag in the center of the platform. He truly was like a ghost. Everybody get out of the way. Gong Pildu pushed people like a runaway locomotive and was in the lead to get the white flag. This couldn't happen. The moment his fingertips were about to reach the flag, I opened my mouth. Gong Pildu, down. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Whack-hack. I stepped on the back of the collapsed Gong Pildu and took the white flag. You have pulled the white flag from the flagpole. You have become the representative of Chunmuro. You are qualified to walk the King's Road. Chapter 43. Future War. Part 2. As soon as my hand wrapped around the flag, I felt a strong energy rising in my body. Originally, this was something the third turn Yu Jonghyuk should have, but it didn't matter. Wasn't he already strong? Kim Dokja has occupied the white flag. If the white flag doesn't change owners in the next 5 minutes, Chunmuro will be under his control. If the flag is snatched in the next 5 minutes, the timer will reset. A timer appeared in the air. 5 o'clock. Gong Pildu pointed at me with a pale face. Take away the flag. You only have to snatch it in 5 minutes. The alliance member belatedly regained their minds and started rushing towards me. Oh ho, it was like this? Lee Hyunsung turned to me. Dokja SSI. Hyunsung SSI. We called out to each other at the same time. Hercules' shield flew out of my hands into Lee Hyunsung's hands. This? I picked it out for you. Throw away what you previously used. A big smile appeared on Lee Hyunsung's face. The character Lee Hyunsung has used the exclusive skill Wide Area Defense. A translucent shield centered on Hercules' shield surrounded our party. Indeed, this was the secondary skill attached to an A-grade item. Wah, what is this? People groaned as they ran into the air shield. They tried to break the protective shields with their old weapons, but it couldn't be broken with E-grade or F-grade items. In the end, the Alliance members had only one place to turn to. Pildu SSI. Out of the way. The level of armed zone had risen considerably, and there was already a small armed zone under Gong Pildu's feet. He reduced the area to shorten the cooldown time. He was using his brains. Well, I had to handle it properly. Pildu, did I tell you to get up yet? Heek? Gong Pildu's head once again slammed into the ground as he fell flat. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Keep your head on the ground until I tell you to get up. The perplexed Alliance members shouted at Gong Pildu. P Pildu SSI? P pull me up. Quickly. The terrified Alliance members tried to raise Gong Pildu up, but it wasn't easy because Gong Pildu was very heavy. And, it is annoying, so turn off the turrets. The character Gong Pildu has released Armed Zone LV6. This bastard. Shut your mouth as well. Stay silent for 30 minutes. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Oof oof oof. The Alliance members became completely panic-stricken once Gong Pildu became powerless with just a few words. Of course, the same was true for Lee Hyunsung, Yu Sanga, and Jung Hee-won. I said with a smile, now everyone seems to have figured out the situation and I'd like to talk to you. I could see people wincing and withdrawing. There were roughly 29 people left. 20 members from the Landlord Alliance and 9 extra people, including me and my party. The number wasn't high, but it was better than I thought. It was because having too many people at the beginning was difficult to control. I watched them and said, now you have 2 choices. It was time to pick a side. The first one is to leave Chungmuro and go to another station. Or stay here with me. What are you saying so suddenly? Just answer me. Will you remain here, or will you go elsewhere? You better decide before the main scenario starts. Or else your life will be in danger. The eyes of the people present started to quickly move. Someone looked at me, someone else looked at Gong Pildu, and another person looked at the tunnel leading to another station. I could tell their thoughts just by looking at them. I won't stop anyone who wants to leave. But anyone who stays here will be under my control. Control. Behavior like the Landlord Alliance is no longer acceptable. I won't allow tyranny over a small group. A handful of people watching me furtively started to stand by my side. They had been treated harshly by the Landlord Association and thought it was better to stick with me. It was a good judgment. A few Alliance members shouted. In the end, you are going to reign. I won't deny it. But I won't take taxes or survival money. Is our safety guaranteed if we enter your group? A man from the Alliance asked. Well, they bothered the tenants so much that it was natural to worry. I'll guarantee some outside safety, but I won't interfere with what is going on inside. You must deal with conflicts between individuals yourself. That. I'll give you 1 minute. You have until then to decide. There was no need to wait for 1 minute. People had already made up their minds. Some of the Alliance members walked over to me with determined expressions and bowed their heads. They were relatively young. Thank you in advance. I was wrong in the past. Thank you for your generous forgiveness. It is a pleasure. You don't have to ask for forgiveness from me. Some members within the group felt a sense of trust towards you. However, several others decided to leave Chungmuro. They tried to raise the fallen Gong Pildu. I watched them and said, leave Gong Pildu. that guy is mine. What? If you have decided, then leave quickly. The 5 alliance members frowned at this and withdrew. Kong SSI. Do you really not want to come with me? It is better than staying under him. Let's all go. Are you really going to serve that guy? You've seen him. But there were no more defectors. The 5 men cursed a few times before heading for the tunnel towards Myeongdong. They wanted to gain land elsewhere and become new landlords. Unfortunately, their plan would fail. In the 4th scenario, the people wandering were good prey to predators. Once 5 minutes passed, the system messages popped up. The sub-scenario has ended. You have earned 1,000 coins as compensation. The white flag will show its true effects to the Chungmuro representative. Current group, 24 people. Your reputation is still too weak to gain the title of king. The title of king. Indeed, it was hard to get the title of king with just a white flag. In order to walk the proper king's road, I had to change the color of the flag. Of course, the white color had its own authority. You have gained control of the Chungmuro group through the effect of the white flag. You can punish a group member who goes against you. There are currently 5 people who have left. I could give a punishment to the 5 distant men, but I left it alone. Terror was effective in controlling people, but such tyranny wasn't suitable for me. Well, thank you, I said while looking everyone in the eyes. Lee Hyunsung was looking at me with respect, while Yu Sanga and Young Hee-won nodded. The rest of them were looking at me with similar expressions. They were still rabble, but it wasn't a bad start. Shortly afterwards, Bai Hyung appeared in the air. Oh Hu, you have voted for a representative. Then let's start the game. The 4th main scenario is activated. Plus. Main scenario number 4, struggle for the flag, category, main. Difficulty, C. Clear conditions, hidden because there are many contents, time limit, 12 days. Compensation, 2,000 coins. Failure? Plus. I pressed the clear conditions. Numerous messages appeared in front of me. Plus. Clear conditions. 1. Every station has a flag and flagpole that can be occupied. Asterisk, the flag can only be carried by the representative of the station. 2. You need to protect the flag from other station groups. If a flag is taken away by another group, the losing group will be taken over by the group that occupied the flag. 3. You can put a flag in the flagpole of another station. The authority of the flag is only for the representative of each station. Once the representative dies in an armed conflict, the authority of the representative is transferred to the person who holds the flag first. If you take the flag of another station group, the treatment of the group deprived of the flag is determined by the group that took the flag. 4. You must occupy the flagpole of the target station within a certain time limit. Failure to do so will result in the death of all group members. 5. The target station your group should occupy is Chongsan Station. Plus. Young Hee-won thought for a moment before opening her mouth. We have to keep our flag and flagpole while putting out flag in other stations. Am I understanding it right? That is how I understood it. We must take the flag to Chongsan Station. Lee Hyunsung also spoke. Then I said, that's right. Everyone has understood. Young Hee-won narrowed her eyes at my words. She knew I was pretending not to know. Now that I knew the future, she kept looking at me. I grinned towards Young Hee-won. Yusenga touched her shoulder and said, again, we once again have to fight against people? Lee Hyunsung thought for a moment before replying. It said that we can decide on the treatment of the group if we occupy their flagpole. Hopefully there might not be any casualties. Ah, I see. That death won't necessarily occur if we take over the station? If we can accept the members of that station group when deciding the treatment. Yes, it is possible to clear it without anyone dying. Li Hyunsung replied with a smile. However, my heart wasn't comfortable. It seemed like Yu Senga and Li Hyunsung were trying to understand the world with some saintly logic. There was no such thing as a scenario where no one died. The fourth scenario would have more casualties than any precious scenario. As if she knew my heart, Yong Hee-won changed the topic. What line is Chongsan Station? I think we should know that first. Li Hyunsung confirmed it on the route map. Line 6. If we go to the tunnel, we can use the transit route. Then we should split the group. How about a few people guarding this place, while others go to scout? I didn't have to say anything as they actively exchanged opinions. It was somewhat heartwarming. The activation of the scenario will turn off Chungmuro Station's safety borders. You can now freely move to other stations. As people were exchanging their opinions, I approached Gong Pildu. Gong Pildu, you can speak now. The command was turned off, but Gong Pildu couldn't easily open his mouth. I know that you feel badly towards me. But you have to adapt. The days when you are a landlord are over. I know why you have been so obsessed with land. But do it moderately. If you want to survive in the future. Don't you have something to do? Gong Pildu's eyes were shaky. I continued speaking. You will be in charge of protecting this place. Just like the third scenario, Gong Pildu was very useful for the fourth scenario. As long as Gong Pildu protected this place, Chungmuro would be safe unless someone on Yu Jonghyuk's level came. Why should I speak to you? This time I won't enforce it with a command. If you follow my request, there will be a reward. Think carefully. Think about your family. Gong Pildu's eyes became bigger at my words. You, how? At this moment, noise was heard from the tunnel. Bong! There was a loud horn sound and headlights shone on the railway of Line 4. There was a bike engine sound and an exhaust sound. Something was coming towards Chungmuro. Chapter 44. Future War. Part 3. It hadn't been long since the scenario began, and already? I tried to recall the original story, but there was no recollection of such an early invasion. It meant variables had appeared. In the darkness, the headlights turned off and there was the sound of people talking. Ah, we finally made it to Chungmuro. Really, it took them a long time to break the scenario. Hey, be quiet. They are going to hear. And don't you know that the scenarios are different between stations? I watched as the people came closer with weapons. The most important thing in a battle was to take the lead first. I went forward, followed by Li Hyunsung and Yong Hee-won, then Yu Senga in the rear. Li Gilyung was still sleeping. How many seconds passed? The four men and women in the darkness walked towards this side. I opened my mouth. Stop there. Eh? Well well. The people stopped in their traces when they saw the blade I was pointing. There were white bikes beside them. I heard weapons being pulled out, but a man's voice was faster. Wait a minute. Calm down. Oh, I can't even talk, because I am too scared. Put down your weapons and slowly come this way. The man put down his weapon and approached with both hands raised. Once he entered the light, the man's impression wasn't bad. He gave off a reasonably favorable impression. His thin eyes were in a gentle curve. Don't be too wary. We didn't come here to fight. Then why did you come? Let's start with the introductions. I'm Kong Ilhan and I help manage the Dong Demon Group. Kong Ilhan? Nobody popped up in my head straight away. Furthermore, the representative of Dong Demon, things were becoming strange. The exclusive skill, character list is activated. Since the skill worked, he was certainly a character in the novel. Character information. Name, Kong Ilhan. Age, 31 years old. Constellation sponsor, shameless good gossiper private attribute, rumors expert, general. Exclusive skills, weapons training LV2, art of communication LV3, spread rumors LV1. Stigma, making a commotion LV1. Overall stats, stamina LV12, strength LV13, agility LV13, magic power LV10. Overall evaluation, unfortunately, he didn't develop his character due to the wrong sponsor. But he is a person with good ability who can be used. He spreads rumors regardless of truth or lies, so be careful. Rumors expert. It was time for these guys to start acting. Kang Il-hun looked at me with slight impatience. Your name is? Kim Dokja. Ah, Kim Dokja Sesai. A flash of wonder coursed Kang Il-hun's face as he heard my name. However, it was only for a short moment. Nice to meet you, Dokja Sesai. Since you have a flag, you must be a station representative? That's right. He looked closely at the color of my flag and then the people around me. It was to confirm the power on our side. He was keen eyes, but unfortunately, he met the wrong opponent. If you have seen enough, get to the main point. Haha. I beg your pardon. We also need to be concerned about safety. Kang Il-hun continued speaking without any panic. Once again, we didn't come to fight. What if we came with a good offer? I watched Kang Il-hun's party. None of them had a flag. How can I believe that? Won't you know if you check the rules? If we came to fight, we would have come with the representative. Only the representative can occupy the flagpole. It was true. It was obviously true. What is the offer? We came to ask for an alliance. At these words, the members of Chunmuro started murmuring. Kang Il-hun shook. Ah, you are uncertain because Chunmuro just opened. In fact, the fourth scenario has already been in progress for 2 days. 2 days? Yu Sanga reflexively muttered. Kang Il-hun nodded. Yes, the third scenario is slightly different in content and duration between stations. Perhaps you didn't know this? Ah. The third scenario was just over, but I already knew this. In the original story, Chunmuro was a latecomer in the scenario compared to other stations. In other words, we started with some losses in terms of information. In that sense, Kang Il-hun's alliance offer was a timely temptation. Information was required, and this was beyond our strength. The problem was, what did the other side gain? It is a difficult offer to accept. I don't know if you have an ulterior motive. Dokja Sesai's words are definitely right. You won't believe in the alliance, so I will first state what we will get from the alliance. In short, Chunmuro isn't our target station. How can I believe that? You can believe it or not. But please think about it. If Chunmuro was our target, we would have dragged the main force of our station here. To be honest, the flagpoles are most vulnerable just after the station is open. It wasn't very persuasive. What will you do if our target station is Dong Demon? Haha, there is no need to worry about that. We already know the station that is targeting us. We didn't come to you for no reason. I see. Let's clear the scenario by helping each other, since our targets are different, is that what you mean? That's right. Isn't it good to help each other at this time? Kang Il-hun smiled and nodded. I was silent for a moment and Yu Sanga opened her mouth. I have a question. Kang Il-hun grinned at Yu Sanga. Yes, what is it, pretty girl? Why did you come to Chunmuro? If you came from Dong Demon, you could have made an alliance with other stations. It was an unexpectedly sharp point. Kang Il-hun looked slightly confused. Oh, that, as I told you, Chunmuro just opened. I mean, the other stations have already formed alliances. But I thought that Chunmuro wouldn't have, haha, I have to ask, Has Chunmuro already made an alliance? HRMM. No, we haven't. Kong Ilhan looked happy at my words. Then form an alliance with Dong Demon. You won't regret it. Above all, we have a winning solution for this scenario. A winning solution? Yes, in fact, our group knows the hidden secrets of this scenario. Kong Ilhan grinned and drove in the last nail. We will tell you if you agree to an alliance with us. After a while, I sat with Yu Senga, Li Hyunsung and Jung Hee-won to exchange opinions. Yu Senga spoke. What do we do? Should we establish an alliance? I'm going to disagree. I can't believe them. I feel uneasy. Once Jung Hee-won spoke, Li Hyunsung gave his opinion. But it wouldn't be bad if they have information about this scenario. Certainly, we can't fully trust them, as Hyun SSI said. Finally, they looked at me. I shrugged. Then for now. Once we made a decision, we called over Kong Ilhan and the Dong Demon group, who were looking around Chunmuro Station. I will make a decision once I have met your representative. Oh, is that so? Where is your representative? At Dong Demon. If you don't mind, I will guide you, please do so. We got on the back seats of the bikes they came on. The people I took with me were Li Hyunsung, Yu Senga, and Jung Hee-won. Lee Gil-young was left behind with Gong Pildu. It was because he overused diverse communication and hadn't woken up yet. Of course, I didn't forget to give an order to protect Lee Gil-young. Then let's go. There was the sound of the bikes turning on and we started moving. Once 20 seconds had passed. I opened my mouth. By the way, Kong Ilhan SSI. Yes? Those people, did they say anything else about Chunmuro? Huh? What does the... For example, if you come here, then there will be a very scary man called Yu Jonghyuk. Haha, what are you saying? I gave a signal and our party jumped from the back seats of the bikes at the same time. Yu Senga SSI. Yu Senga used binding thread and tied the 4 bikes together. There was a roar as the bikes collided with each other. Kwang! Aya! The Dong Demon members screamed as they crashed down. Fortunately, our party was safely hanging in the air due to Yu Senga's thread tied to the ceiling. It was a type of seat belt. It was an incredible feat that made Yu Senga seem like Spider-Man. Kong Ilhan was covered in dust as he lay on the ground and shouted. What are you doing? What am I doing? That is what I want to ask. I looked at the dark tunnel. In order to ambush us, you should raise the level of the stealth a bit more. It was enough for me to detect, despite not having absolute senses. Kong Ilhan noticed something was wrong and screamed. Attack them. At almost the same time, people hiding all over the tunnel emerged. I knew it. They were aiming for my flag. The character Jung Hee-won has activated the exclusive skill, Judgment Time. The absolute good constellations have agreed to the use of this skill. Judgment Time has been activated. Eh? I thought it might not. Isn't this a complete mess? Jung Hee-won laughed with a surprised expression. It is hard to find bad people. Jung Hee-won spoke in a cold voice, and her sword flashed through the dark tunnel. Her eyes were red from using Demon Slayer. The bloody light swept through the darkness as people were slaughtered. What? This crazy girl. Aya. Sikyok. Sikkeek. There were 10 peep, but Jung Hee-won killed them without a hitch. It was a scene that showed how much Jung Hee-won's stats had risen after the hidden dungeon was cleared. I also used white pure star energy and easily suppressed Kong Ilhan. A few hours ago, I was dealing with Yu Jonghyuk. This guy wasn't very difficult. Dr. SSI, Chunmuro. I looked back at Lee Hyunsung's cry and saw that there was a commotion in Chunmuro. They were ambushed as soon as we left Chunmuro. I left Kang Ilhan to be tied up by Usanga and rushed to Chunmuro. There was already a melee happening on the platform. But I decided to watch the situation for a while. There was something I needed to check first. What are these bastards? Dozens of group members that ran from the Myeongdong direction waved weapons at the people of Chunmuro. By the way, the weapons they were carrying were familiar. That is Kim SSI's weapon. The Landlord Alliance members who headed towards Myeongdong had already been hit by these guys. Indeed, the wanderers who lost their group were just seen as living coins. The most noticeable enemy was one wearing a red flag around his head like a bandana. Gain control later. It will be over if I just put the flag in. That's right. He was the representative. Chapter 45. Future War. Part 4. Pushed through to the flag holder. Based on the direction he was running from, he seemed to be the representative of the Myeongdong group. They had joined hands with Dong Demon. The Myeongdong representative, Kim Hyente, has used the additional effect of the red flag. It was someone who already changed the color of the flag. Furthermore, it was red. In fact, the key to struggle for the flag was the color of the flag. It was from white to red, navy, brown, purple, and black. The flag provided increasingly better effects as the color changed. The Myeongdong group has received the buff effect of the red flag. Attack and defense has increased by 5% each. If the flag was already red, it meant he had occupied one or more stations or had killed the flag bearer of another station. Looking at his eyes, he seemed to have pretty good fighting power. But he shouldn't have aimed for Chunmuro. The character Gong Pildu has activated Armed Zone LV6. The character Gong Pildu has activated Private Property LV6. Gong Pildu didn't move too late. Trivial pups. I was glad I didn't have to use the command rights. If this was the case, I could leave Chunmuro's defense to Gong Pildu. The 8 mini turrets fired at the same time towards the Myeongdong group running towards the flagpole. W what? Oh whack. Do. Pieces of flesh flew through the air. Gong Pildu was truly a scam. Quack. Huddle up. The Myeongdong group gathered together in a tight defense formation, but it wasn't enough to endure the shells from the level 6 armed zone. It was a rewarding sight that made leaving him to clear the emergency defense scenario alone worth it. Quang. 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 How many shots were fired? The enhanced magic bullets caused the Myeongdong group to be riddled with hold and collapse. Gong Pildu was scary as an enemy, but strong as an ally. There wasn't information about this. Retreat. But there was no place for them to run away. Where are you going? The special option of Unbroken Faith is activated. The ether property is converted to fire. Chwaak. The ether blade made of flames created a wall of fire that blocked their escape. The moment that the confused people hesitated, Gong Pildu shot at them. Do. P pierced through. Quickle, cough. The Myeongdong representative was hit in the head by a magic bullet and the flag was released. Gong Pildu's eyes shone as he found the flag. Sheesh, this brat. Do you want me to step on your back again? The running Gong Pildu stiffened. Damn. I immediately picked up the Myeongdong flag that had fallen onto the tracks. Focus vanished from the eyes of the desperate Myeongdong group members. You have won the flag of the Myeongdong group. Your white flag has absorbed the cumulative achievements of the red flag. Your white flag has evolved into a red flag. I felt a stronger force swirling inside my body. You are one step closer to the King's Road. The flags after the red flag improved not just the ability's representative, but also the surrounding group members. Apart from overall stats or S grade and above items, the flag was one of the few ways to improve basic combat power. Due to this, groups aimed at stations other than the target station. The other king candidates would have already entered a full-fledged war to change the color of their flags. The stronger they became, the more they could enjoy this world. The remaining members of the Myeongdong group are waiting for your decision. I grabbed one of the wounded Myeongdong members in the area and asked, "Why did you aim for Chunmuro?" I had realized something when I first heard Kang Il-hun's words. It was true that Chunmuro had just opened, but it didn't make sense for them to rush in like they had been waiting. The observations of the party and the strange look he made when he knew I was the representative. These guys knew about this station from the beginning. I brought my blade to the man's neck and asked, "Tell me, who gave you the information of Chunmuro?" The most likely people were the prophets. The guys I met in Theater Dungeon mentioned hidden information that other people didn't know. I had been searching through ways of survival, but I never saw the group named Prophets. If so, who were they? There were two hypotheses. One, due to an unknown variable, a new prophet had appeared apart from Anna Croft. The second, besides me, there was another reader. Honestly, I thought it was probably the latter. The prophet attribute wasn't so easy to obtain. Furthermore, prophets was a plural. Well, I could check it from now on. I looked at Gong Pildu and said, "By the way, why didn't you act more moderately? Why should I show mercy to those running wild?" Gong Pildu looked annoyed. Unfortunately, the people of Myeongdong group weren't able to answer because they had been hit by too many bullets. As soon as I asked them a question, they coughed up blood and died. In the end, I could only ask one person. I looked down at Kang Il-hun, who was behind guarded by Lee Hyun-sung. His eyes rolled uneasily while he was tied up with binding thread. Yu Senga asked, "Was everything planned from the beginning?" I thought there was a high probability. As soon as the station opens, two groups will unite and attack. It was a prior promise. Saying things with such a good face, Yu Senga's expression became dark. "Are you sorry? There isn't going to be an alliance." "A little bit. Don't believe in people too much. Things won't be as easy as you think in the future." "I know. Still, if possible, I wanted to believe. I was able to come here because I believed in someone." Yu Senga looked at me. "Hey, how long are the two of you going to talk? Quickly pry the information out." Yong Hee-won interrupted us. Indeed, now wasn't the time to give life advice. I released the thread blocking Kang Il-hun's mouth. Kang Il-hun was trying to stay calm. "What will you do with me now?" "It depends on how much information you can give me." "Are you basing the standards on usability?" This guy talked back. Even in this situation, there was more to him than I thought. If so, I had to use a hardline method. Yong Hee-won said, "In any case, the constellations see him as wicked." "How about trying torture?" "Why bother with torture? Just kill him if he doesn't speak." "Huh?" I pulled out my sword without hesitation. Kang Il-hun trembled as he looked up at me. "From now on, I will count to 3. If you don't open your mouth in that time, you will die. There is no reversal." I deliberately triggered white pure star energy and inserted the sword into the ground. 1. Kudududak. The ground was scratched with the power of white pure star energy as the blade started to move towards him. Fragments of the floor flew towards his face. 2. The heat of the blade warmed his face as it approached his nose. In a short time, the ether blade would cut his eyeballs. 3. Dongmyo Station. I smiled. Torture? There was no need for that. Kang Il-hun gasped for breath and explained, "The people from Dongmyo Station gave us information about Chunmuro." Dongmyo, who was there? Who was it? He called himself a prophet. By the way, this guy's condition was strange. His eyes were rolling and his tongue hung out like a dead person. I had an ominous feeling. Surely it wasn't suggestion. Yusenga SSI, hurry and block his mouth with a thread. Fortunately, Yusenga's threat blocked this guy's mouth before it could close. Using suggestion to control information from leaking, they were more meticulous than I thought. On the other hand, it was easier for me to solve the problem. Suggestion was a skill that could only be used face-to-face. I looked down at Kong Ilhan and stated, "You are a lucky guy." If he was present, I could definitely identify one of the prophets. Before I went on the full-fledged search, I headed to the roof of the theater. He still hasn't woken up? Maybe it was because she didn't know I was coming, but Lee Jai-hai shook. Yu Jong-hyuk was still unconscious and lying on her knees. Jerk, he was the main character, yet he wasn't going through any hardship. Meanwhile, I was the tired one, despite being the reader. How is it downstairs? Don't worry and rest. Master, will he be okay? He will be fine. Although there might be some trauma left. Trauma? His mental state is more fragile than a child's. He will be a bit better after a good sleep. It sounds like you know a lot. I know him the best in this world. I spoke in a dry tone and pulled out some paper, writing on it with a pen. I filled it with notes and handed it to Lee Jai-hai. Don't read it, but give it to Yu Jong-hyuk when he wakes up. Do you understand? I understand. She said so, but Lee Jai-hai would definitely read it. However, Lee Jai-hai wouldn't be able to understand it since it was filled with things only Yu Jong-hyuk would know. By the way, did the information on the paper also look like for the constellations? The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband hates. Indeed. I was turning around when Lee Jai-hai opened her mouth. By the way, can I ask you something? What? Earlier, with Master and Ajusi. Somehow I seemed to know what Lee Jai-hai would say. Damn, Lee Jai-hai heard as well as Young Hee-won? I've been stupid. I only considered the constellations and never thought about the humans listening. Yu Jong-hyuk would laugh at my stupidity. What was a good excuse? Well, that. You too. What? I decided to feign ignorance. Lee Jai-hai's expression became more serious. I mean, Ajusi's words. So what? Wake up, you jerk. Don't fall into those sentiments. Lee Jai-hai imitated my voice and shouted. I felt embarrassed suddenly hearing my words emerge from someone else's mouth. For the first time, that determination. Have you already forgotten? Wasn't something strange? This child, she almost heard it at the filtered level. I came here because of you. Why are you alone? We are together. No, wait a minute. I've always been around you. Don't lose hope. Think of the child. That isn't what I. Why did I come here if you are alone? I stared at Lee Jai-hai for a moment. No, how could she hear it this way? As something like that? Ajusi, you and Master, I sighed. Think what you want. Indeed. Don't worry, I'll give him this love letter. I shrugged and turned around. Behind my back, Lee Jai-hai's bullshit continued. Wait. How did you give birth to a child? Ask Yu Jong-hyuk. Yes, Yu Jong-hyuk, I leave everything to you. The next moment, indirect messages exploded in my head. Some constellations are greatly affected by the truth of the filtering. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband respects your taste. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire likes your comradeship. The constellation Secretive Plotter thinks it is ridiculous. 600 coins have been sponsored. Damn, there were other idiots. In any case, I told Yu Jong-hyuk what I needed to. I hurried through the theater. During the time Yu Jong-hyuk was the sleeping prince, I had to gain as much benefits as possible.